One. All right. Hey, welcome to Did You Watch Survivor Last Night? My name is Jake Scheidel. This is a reality show about reality TV. No, this is
Nope.
not a reality show.
You already fucked it up. You're 0 for 2 on intros.
I say the same thing every week, and I fuck it up every week.
Yeah, we deleted audio tracks from an earlier failed attempt to start the show.
I will say though, that wasn't my fault. That was the technology's fault.
It was still your fault.
It wasn't entirely not my fault. I will say that, but
it's the shoddy craftsman who blames his tools.
This time around, it was more my fault than the first time we recorded. Okay, this is a podcast about Survivor. Each week, I talk to my best friend Thomas Powell about Survivor. Hello, Thomas. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing just dandy. Just nice to be a part of a real professional enterprise like this.
It's so good. It's such we put on a good product. Please subscribe and rate.
Please subscribe.
This is about what it is every week for an hour. It's just us complaining about how bad we are, but just then pretending that we're really good at it.
Two dudes shooting the shit, talking about our inadequacies.
Yeah.
Very relatable.
Everybody has a podcast, and everybody is bad at podcasting. So
we're just like you. We put on our pant legs one at a time. Sometimes we can't put them on, and then we just talk about how we can't put the pants on.
Why do they make pants so hard? It's like reading for your legs. So Thomas, I've got a question for you. Did you watch Survivor last night?
You know, my good friend Jock, I did.
Good. All right. Well, before we get into Survivor, I just want to mention, last week we talked a lot about Shaq, and at no point did we talk about OJ with Shaq. Do you remember OJ with Shaq?
I remember the term OJ with Shaq, but remind me what the details were.
OJ with Shaq was a saved Prince of Persia game.
Oh my god, yes. Yeah. Okay.
And we titled it OJ with Shaq, or we saved it as OJ with Shaq, because one of the first dudes you fight in that game is wearing like purple and yellow pants and vest.
Yeah, it looks like
that's Shaquille
O'Neal.
You're being
menaced by Shaquille O'Neal, like Kazam era Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh yeah, so it's OJ with Shaq.
Yeah,
that's great. And also we have. I think we were drinking orange juice at the time. That's why we.
That might have been it, or it might have been that when you die, there's like a little bit of blood, and I think we were like, "Oh no, that's orange juice." Like you spilled your orange juice. It's cool.
That could have been.
Jake and I played a lot of the original Prince of Persia, and never really tried to be good at it. We would just jump down into spike pits because it was really entertaining.
But it was like any other video game where like you mess around with it, and eventually, oh hey, I'm on the last level. I guess I got good at this game.
Yeah, I guess you can only have so much fun, and let me tell you, it is a lot of fun. Jumping into spike pits in Prince of Persia. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Man, now I really miss that game.
I'm sure you can find a working version of it very easily for free on the internet.
I do love the internet. This week's episode was called "It's Merge Time" because. It's merge time. It's the merge. The tribes, they merged this season.
Did anyone actually say it's merge time during this episode?
Nope. It's 2 episodes in a row where they don't use a quote from a contestant.
They're getting lazy, and I don't like it.
First, Jeff Probst, email us. Second, we will email you back as soon as we have your email. So we start off on the Gondol tribe. And Scott mentions that he no longer trusts Aubrey and Joe because they voted for, what's his name? The wrong person. Except I know Aubrey was like, oh, switch my vote. But still, Aubrey, like, if you're going to do that, get a new parchment. Don't just cross out the name. Like,
I thought it was kind of silly of him to hold that against Aubrey, but... whatever. I mean, I'm not there. I'm not him.
I don't think he was like, oh, Aubrey is equally as bad as Joe in this scenario. It's just like they're aligned, so if I'm upset with one of them, I'm upset with both of them, kind of thing. And then also on the Gondol tribe, Joe says that Ty and their chicken are like father and son. I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, I get it. Good
Yeah,
one.
plus
Good one.
like how you always kill and eat your son. That natural order of things.
I've read the Bible.
I do really I do really appreciate that my dad hasn't killed and eaten me yet, but I know it's coming eventually.
It will be there soon. He'll get to be like 80 years old and be like, I need sustenance.
I'm old.
To continue my life.
My social security check's not cutting it.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna cut you. Get it?
Yeah, good one.
Thank you. Over on the Chanlo tribe, Sydney notices that there's a bulge in Neil's pants. Not like that, you guys. And he figures he has an idol. I do wonder a lot, and I asked Jeff Probst this once on Twitter, and he didn't answer me. How much fucking do you think happens on this island?
I feel like we've talked about this on the show before.
Yeah?
Survivor After Dark.
Ooh.
You
might have made that same joke.
I probably did. I don't know. I mean, there probably some, but
although this episode did deal a lot with how gross, like physical conditions are for everyone. So maybe not that often. It's only like a month and a half.
Yeah, everybody's got infections. Like, I don't know if you want to be like sleeping together while you're doing that, and it's not like the challenge where they're all in like a regular house together and they're all like around the same age, or at least they're all like relatively young people, like 40 or below, and they're like going out to clubs and stuff and getting drunk. Like, everybody is like sober, and it's a little less,
for the most part.
Yeah, it's a little less straightforward, I guess, than the challenge. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's more gameplay involved in this than in the challenge. So there's not really time to like establish a legitimate, even if it's just a sexual relationship. It's not. You don't have really any time to establish a legitimate thing with anyone. Sometimes it has happened, but I don't think it's at the forefront of anyone's mind.
Yeah, I don't think it's commonplace, but I will say, I was bored, so I was reading through, on the Survivor site, when people get eliminated, they just have this, like, these dumb little, like, slideshows that are, like, 8 things, like, Liz had to say about her elimination, and they're kind of interesting. Like, it basically just is, like, how they played and what they thought of how things went and stuff like that.
Is this on the CBS website?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that existed.
But okay. At one point they asked her about like what surprised her about the game, and she's like, just that there's a lot of time where you're just waiting for things to happen, like you're not really doing, like you're just like getting firewood and then like sitting around and then getting more firewood and then just like resting a little bit, and like if there's that much downtime, then like I mean it's a big island.
But I mean, I can't even pronounce that word. Sex is a very emotional and personal thing, so I think it could influence people's votes. I care about the people.
Love them and leave them. That's what I never say, but for the sake of this bit, I'll pretend that I do.
All you say is leave them. Leave them be. You're like, please don't.
Just leave them.
Approach those people.
None of that.
Yeah, like, calm down. Jason says that he believes he has all the power in the game at this point, which is a weird thing to say because you have one idol, and you need 2 idols to have any amount of power.
That sounds like something like the phrasing of that sounds like something that like a villain from an 80s cartoon designed to sell action figures would say. Now I have all the power in the game. The Care Bears will never be able to stop me.
Was there a villain in the Care Bears? I've literally never watched.
I have to assume there was. Other than, maybe the villain in Care Bears is like depression or just like general malaise.
Oh yeah, there's an idea. Was that a show originally, or was it a kid's toy originally?
I think the toy began.
Or was it a coloring book? Yeah?
I think the show came from the toy.
Okay.
Or
That
maybe they
sounds
launched
right.
at the same time. I think they did that with a lot of them, where it's like, oh, kids will watch the show and then they'll want the toy.
Capitalism's weird.
I mean, this is the Reagan era, so it was it was nuts out there.
Yeah, right. And then a boat shows up, and guess what? It's merge time.
Everyone is very excited.
Merge! Woo! We made it. The new tribe's name is Dara.
I went through a couple of like the remaining contestants like Twitters, just because I was like, curious, because I always remember like, oh yeah, these people definitely have social media. So I was looking at Aubrey's, and she had a tweet that was like fixed the current tribe team name, and it was photoshopped to look like it said Daria, and then there's just a picture of Daria. It showed Daria on there, and I was like, yeah, that sounds about right.
That's good. Yeah, she seems like the type of person that would be very into that show. She's the right age and intelligence level, I guess.
Yeah,
she was like she was probably a very snarky teen in the late 90s, early 2000s, I would think.
No, looking at her Twitter and like there's one particular interview that she has at the very end of this episode, pretty much confirmed.
Yeah,
like, one,
yeah.
Aubrey's one of my favorites, and I don't want her eliminated. And two, like, if I have to pick somebody that I would want to hang out with from this season, she is number one right now.
My number one. Well, honestly, if I had to pick anyone to hang out with, it would be Scott Pollard, just so I could be like, hey, remember how you were in the NBA, and I'm a big fan of basketball. That was cool. But
Scott Pollard would be up there too, because I'd want to hear some like choice nuggets about some of those Kings teams he was on in the early 2000s, because those were one, really good teams, and two, had like a pretty crazy collection of personalities. So, but yeah, I mean, it's like her, Scott, and Ty would probably be the ones I would most want to hang out with.
I would absolutely hang out with Ty.
Also, Julia,
number one though.
Looking at the tweets from people, I was looking at Julia's account, and Julia had a tweet where she had a dream that Ty had a morning talk show called Tea with Ty, and I want it so badly.
That sounds amazing.
I want it so very badly.
Oh man, that sounds like I don't know who owns Yahoo or who Yahoo owns, but if CBS and Yahoo have a good relationship, that sounds like a show that would be on Yahoo screen, which doesn't even exist anymore. But if it did, that's a show. Speaking of Julia and dreams, I had a dream that Survivor and Are You the One were combined, and also I was there.
That sounds
I was
like
one
a
of the
horrible
contestants.
shit show.
And so one of the things in Are You the One, I know you don't watch that show, but I love it. One of the things in Are You the One is something called the Truth Booth, which like if you're voted in, if you're in this couple and you get voted in, they tell you if you're the perfect match, right? So there was that thing. For whatever reason, there was this twist where you could just go in individually and they would tell you who your perfect match is, which I realize doesn't make sense.
What, it's like a show version of like
game of
a dating site? Like, what is...
Yeah, well, okay. Do you understand the premise of Are You the One? Have I told you about this?
I've heard literally nothing other than the title of this show.
Okay. So it takes 10 men and 10 women generally, and sticks them all in a house, and each man is matched up with one woman, and then they have to spend 10 weeks. They have 10 weeks to figure out who is matched up with who, and then they all guess. And the only way to know if you're right is if you go into the truth booth, and that happens once a week. And then at the end of the week, they all pick somebody, and they tell them how many of them are right, but they don't tell you who is right. So if you go into the truth booth, you'll be able to find out. Anyway,
do people get eliminated from this show? What do they get for winning?
They split $1 million, and then nobody's really eliminated. But if you find out that you've found your perfect match in the truth booth, then you go off to like your own suite so you guys can, do coupley things. Anyway, so there was one of those kind of things on Survivor, and I was like, I want to know who my match is. And I walked in, and it was Julia. And I was like, oh, that's weird. That was the dream I had.
Oh, cool.
So,
this has been Jake's Dream Bungalow. A new segment on Did You Watch Survivor last night?
You know I'm going to make that a regular thing.
Yep.
I have a lot of really good
Jake's
dreams.
Dream Roundup. That's what it's called now. We just rebranded.
I like it. So Debbie says that everybody's dangling, and she's going to pull them over. Cool, Debbie. Great plan. Scott says about him, Sydney, and Jason, it's like we're in the playoffs. Nice metaphor. Ty says that Scott is his only ally at this point because he is the only one who knows about his idol.
That's hilarious that Ty thinks that because everyone is his idol because he's great. Or not his idol, his ally because he's great.
Yeah, Ty is never getting voted out. Debbie flirts with Nick, but Nick is not interested. Jason
probably because she could fucking be his mom. Probably that might be an issue.
She's 19 years older than him, so it's possible. Jason jokingly flirts with Ty, and Scott is jokingly offended, and Ty loves it. And I love it. I think it's great.
Are you shipping them pretty hard right now, even though Ty has a boyfriend?
I'm shipping Ty with everyone. I just want to see Ty happy. Nick says that he is observing, and he doesn't think that the beauty tribe will want to work with the arrogant Braun. It's like his soundbite. Nick is obnoxious. I don't like him. Aubrey asks Debbie about alliances, and she says, okay, there are a lot of metaphors this episode. This is the worst one. She says that she and Neil are like ebony and ivory. That's not what that song is about. Or toilet paper and toilets. What? What is that? What are you saying, Debbie? This is why people don't like you.
Did she ghostwrite like some really like corny B.o.B songs? Like was she? It's like another one of her million jobs that have popped up, like ghostwriter on Strange Clouds.
B.o.B is. I will say about B.o.B, he is very good at enunciating.
B.o.B is a very talented rapper who is not good, and that's a shame.
Yes, yeah, that's the perfect way to describe him. He is my sister's favorite rapper.
He's not good. He's like, his writing's kind of bad and he's very corny, but he's got like a good flow and a good voice, and there's like a reason that he was getting like Andre 3000 comparisons early on. It's because he's immensely talented. But yeah, no.
And also, he wrote that Airplanes song. Airplanes in the night sky, shooting stars.
That album really isn't bad as far as a pop rap album, but like since then he's gotten worse. Yeah, that's my opinion on Bobby Ray.
Yeah, he seemed like the biggest deal in what was that, like 2008 or 9 when that song came out?
I think like 2010. That was when like Nothing on You and Airplanes came out.
I just remember the Nothing on You thing you would do to me.
Oh, me annoying you with Nothing on You because there's the part that's like, now you got me froze like a Nintendo 64, and then in the background he goes 64, and I would do all of the background parts to you while we were in the car listening to it, and you would get really mad.
Yes. Yeah, it was great. It was a really fun time. It actually was pretty fun. I looked back on that fondly. Wish I still had a car. Just kidding. But anyway, that has nothing to do with anything.
This has been Jake's wish segment of the podcast. What do we wish he still has next week?
I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know why all the jocks get the fly girls and you get the hood rats.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. So Neil considers a Beauty and Braun alliance. Nicholas talks to Scott about Ty and Julia. Jason wants to take out Neil because of his idol. Scott reveals Ty's idol to Nick and Jason. I don't like how Nick is like part of this alliance now. Like he knows too much about their whole thing. I don't appreciate it.
I think they're going to have to kill him. I think that's really the only solution.
The only option. They need to really hurt him in a challenge, and they'll have to pull him from the game.
Yeah. We were doing this challenge, and I accidentally clotheslined Nick off of a cliff, and he died. It was a it was a horrible accident. It could have happened to anyone.
Yeah, Survivor. I'll live.
And when I say it could happen to anyone, Jeff, I mean it could happen to anyone. Just say a fucking word.
We're filming this, right?
I'll kill every camera. I've killed before, and I'll do it again. I mean,
it was an accident. It could have happened to anyone.
I've committed, at best, manslaughter before. Involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah. Involuntary, specifically. I was drunk driving. I mean, okay, I'm talking too much. The point is,
wait. In this scenario, are you saying that Jason and Scott were drunk driving a car on the island and ran into Nick, and that sent him flying off a cliff?
No, this is I was imagining a completely different scenario in which they also accidentally killed another person.
What, while they were on the show, or that they knew each other before they were on the show?
I think they probably knew each other before they were on the show.
I mean, they definitely didn't. Buds. They definitely didn't, because at the beginning of the show, there's a part where they meet. So
that could have been a ploy. You don't know. It's all for TV. It's all for the show.
They set this whole thing up. They've been planning this for years.
All 18 of them were all friends before the show started.
For what reason, though? What is the goal of this?
Just to make fun of CBS.
We just really wanted to do a long con with no real outcome, with no real goal for it.
One of us will win $1 million and destroy very close relationships we've made over years.
Yep.
Where were we? Jason and Scott and Neil, not Neil, Nick, talked about Ty's idol. Also, Scott, not really your place to talk about Ty's idol. But here we are.
I mean, Ty disclosed that information to him, so when you say something like that, you have to...
And it makes sense that you would mention it to Jason because of the whole Super Idol thing.
Yeah, wasn't Nick just kind of there? Wasn't he just kind of
Nick was just kind of there, yeah. I mean, he was talking to them about something else. I think he was talking to Jason about something else.
Yeah, because Jason told him that, and Scott was like, and I didn't tell you that. Nobody else, we're going to pretend, you're going to pretend you didn't hear that.
Nicholas says that he doesn't like Scott and Jason's confidence, and says that they won't expect a blindside. The weird thing about this season is, people are planning in advance ways to turn on people. Where, in the past, it seems like it's been a necessary thing to do late in the game, but this time it's I'm going to use these people up until the last possible second I need them, and then I'll turn on them. It's why are you doing that? You should use these people as long as you possibly can and hope that they stick with you. You're guaranteeing somebody's going to not vote for you if you're planning for... You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's last season, it's Spencer's game plan, which got him to the final 3, but he lost because someone who didn't do that, like Jeremy, actually didn't piss anybody off really in the process.
Yeah. Debbie approaches Ty about an alliance, but Ty says he's not buying her story, which is great. If this season comes down to Ty versus Debbie, that's going to be great.
It'd be great, but I don't think Debbie's going to be around for much longer.
You don't think so?
No.
She's shown that she has the ability to play, though.
There's, multiple instances of people in her own alliance being we're trying to get this together, but, everyone hates Debbie, and it's killing me.
But she's still there.
Yeah, I know, but...
Remember how late in the game Abby lasted last season?
Yeah, but Abby never had a chance to win, and I think it's going to be the same thing with Deb.
Maybe, yeah. I don't think she'll win, but I think
I cannot imagine a jury voting for her.
No, but she could be Ty's antagonist.
Yeah, I suppose.
Where are we? Aubrey says that they have to show confidence, and right now they are showing desperation. Jason says beauty always goes with brawn. We're just shoving nerds in lockers right now. It's not the worst metaphor of the season.
No, I thought that was kind of funny, actually.
It was alright, yeah. I don't appreciate you shoving nerds in lockers, you big old jock meanie. That solid metaphor.
I'm okay with some metaphorical shoving in lockers.
Yeah. Jason thinks that voting out Neil is their best bet. Michelle says that she is not 100% committed to anyone. Aubrey talks to Nick, who says that Debbie is awful. And then Neil believes that no one knows about his idol. But guess what? People do know about his idol.
Yeah, because you have that giant boner, Neil, and people saw it.
Yeah. You gotta, please, future contestants of Survivor, don't put the idol in your crotch. It looks like you got a big old boner the whole time.
Yeah, people saw your big boner, and they were like, oh man, look at that idol.
Yeah. Guess what it's time for?
I'm hoping wildlife shots.
No, we're not there yet.
Oh, wait. Sorry, do we have some breaking news?
We got some breaking news. Hit the sounder. Real World Roundup! Alright. Kayla and Jenna are still mad at each other because one of them loved somebody while they were in the other bed. I was like, what are you doing? But that's not much of this episode. This episode is all about...
Real World.
Classic Real World. Classic The Real World. Just kidding. It's called Real World now. Everybody's hanging out at the pool because they live in a hotel, so there's a pool. And they start talking to some male strippers, and those strippers invite them to a show they're having. So they go. Like, why wouldn't you, right?
Ha Classic Real World.
Classic Real World. Jenna's very uncomfortable by the whole thing, but everybody is like gesturing toward the strippers like, you should bring her on stage. So the strippers do. Classic Real World.
Oh, you know what I'm going to say about that one, and that's some classic, just a choice slice of classic Real World. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
The next day, Jenna calls her boyfriend, although they don't use titles. Okay, fine. She tells him what happened with the strippers, and he gets really mad at her.
Oh, no.
Because he's a dumb shithead.
Sounds like we're heading for some classic Real World.
And then, also, Dion tells Amanda that he slept with Kayla, and Amanda gets really mad.
Ooh, classic Real World.
I know. What happens next? It's CJ's birthday. So
classic birthday.
So they go out to the desert and go ATVing. And the people in charge of the ATVs spend a good deal of time talking about how to be safe on an ATV. Hint, hint. And then Jenna talks about how she's been riding ATVs since she was like 5 years old. Hint, hint.
Uh-oh, looks like we are headed on a collision course for some classic Real World.
As you might have guessed, Jenna falls off of her ATV and gets run over. But she's a real tough cookie, so she walks it off.
Contestants dying. Classic Real World.
When she wakes up the next day, she has like a very tight neck and goes to the doctor. And the doctor tells her to avoid any strenuous activity.
Neck so tight, so classic, so on point. So classic.
Are you saying this is some classic Real World right now?
I mean, look, I wanted to more imply, but if you're going to come right out and say it, then yes, it's some classic Real World.
Like, in the early 90s, it's all like picking your nose and eating peanut butter. But these days, it's all about getting run over by ATVs.
It's what's new, it's what's hot, but at the same time,
it's what's hot.
It is classic and emblematic of the series.
Exactly. So she gets run over, and the doctor's like, hey, don't do any strenuous activity.
Hey, don't do that. Hey, you got run over.
Maybe
I know it
in
was
the
some
future,
classic
don't
Real
get run
World.
over.
I'm like aware how classic it was that you did that, but like don't.
Well, like, Jenna came into the doctor's office, was like, I got run over by an ATV, and the doctor was like, oh, that's terrible, what were you doing? And she was like, oh, well, I'm on the Real World this season, and he was like, oh, classic Real World. He gave him one IB, the doctor gave Jenna one ibuprofen and was like, you'll be fine. So
and
no
then it gave her
activity.
a script that just says classic Real World.
Classic Real World.
Doctor's
Jenna,
report just says classic Real World on it.
Highlighted. But here's the problem with her not being able to do strenuous activity. This whole season is about strenuous activity. Where they jumped out of a thing? Hot air balloon? And then also they
lots of sex.
They had lots of sex. Not her. She's dating a dude. Not dating. They're not using titles. Oh.
Yeah. Jake. We already established that was classic Real World. You should know.
I know. Her not boyfriend is named Austin, because of course it is. You know the South. Then they get word on their next mission, and they gotta do one of those inflatable tube things that you put on a lake. You know what I'm talking about? Where you, like, jump on one end, and then the person on the other side flies off into the air and then falls into the water.
Classic summer camp thing.
Yep. So they arrive at the location where this is all happening, and one of the producers tells Jenna that she can't complete this mission because, you know, classic Real World, no strenuous activity.
Classic safety precautions.
Yeah. Insurance, you know? And then the episode
and, like, doctors and, like, medical and, like
calm down, doctors. Right? Thanks, Obamacare. And then the episode ends. So, like, is Jenna going home? It's go big or go home. And, like, if you got a stiff neck, you might be going home, Jenna.
Yeah, sorry. Like, I mean, I hate to break it to you, but, like, you got a stiff neck. Sometimes you got to go home. That's how the Real World is. Classic Real World.
Like, I would say modern Real World. Classic Real World was all, like, sticking your finger in your nose and then in the peanut butter. Modern Real World was all, like, getting run over by ATVs and not being able to jump off a summer camp thing. Modern Real World.
Yep.
So then, speaking of health checks, at the Immunity Challenge, Jeff Probst asks everybody how their health is doing, and Neil's like, I got a big ol' bump infection on my leg, and they call it a volcano. I call it Mount St. Neil, because I'm so clever.
That was really funny.
Everybody's got infections.
Like, everybody. Like, literally, like 2/3 of the people that are still there.
Everybody's got infections, but they got a challenge to do, so let's do that first.
Yeah, it was to the point that Jeff joked, like, maybe it's, like, a disadvantage now. Like, maybe you'll be out if you don't have an infection. Like, sure, Jeff. Haha, good one.
Yeah, okay. Good joke. But we're in very serious pain. So at the challenge, they have to stand on a log and balance a ball on a platform. Then every so often, they'll stick another ball on the platform until everybody falls.
Yeah, it's like they're like, okay, what's the challenge that we do all the time? Balance challenge. What if we did it twice in the same challenge?
Oh no, this is a pretty standard challenge. They do this.
Yeah, I think they did one like
about
this
once a season.
last year, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little later in the game, I think, but yeah, this isn't an original challenge for this season.
Yeah.
It's a second chance challenge.
Yeah. So the final four on this one was Aubrey, Julia, Nick, and Ty. And the final three was all beauty members. Like, the beauty members all did really well. Except for Michelle, she did really horribly.
It was 3 rounds, and by the third round, the only people left were Nick, Ty, and Julia, so the 3 beauties. Then Julia falls off, and then Ty falls off, so Nick wins.
Cool.
Good job, Nick. Super happy. Like, literally anyone else winning would have made for a better story. But, I don't know. This is the way things happen, you know? Sometimes you can't decide what happens in the challenge. So then they go back to the camp, and Neil says that it's Brain versus Brawn tonight. Nick is leaning toward Brawn, but says they're overconfident. I don't understand why that's a problem, but also, like, why are you complaining about that, Nicholas? Oh, because, okay. Neil, Nick, and Joe discuss taking out the Brawn tribe, whereas Michelle, Aubrey, and Debbie also talk about taking out the Brawn tribe. So, not looking good for the Braun tribe, right?
Don't they start to say that they're gonna vote out like Sydney?
Did they ever decide on someone?
I guess they never officially decided. Their plan was just generally to like vote for someone, and they were gonna use. Or wait, no, they knew that. Were they going to use the immunity idol on? They were going to figure out whoever the Braun tribe was voting for and use Neil's immunity idol to help them blindside the Braun.
But did they know about Neil's immunity idol at that point?
Yeah, he told Aubrey.
Oh, he did? I couldn't remember if he did ever tell Aubrey.
Yeah. And then they found out from Michelle that Aubrey was the one that the Braun tribe was looking to eliminate. So I think Neil was going to use his idol to save Aubrey, and then that would give them the votes they needed to take out whoever they wanted from the Braun tribe.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It didn't end up mattering at all.
Yeah. Michelle doesn't know which way to vote still, but thinks that going with Aubrey and Debbie is her best bet. Nick and Michelle agree to go with Braun because Nick believes he can manipulate Braun and beat them at puzzles. Sure, Nick. Yeah, whatever you think. He says that Aubrey is the one going home. Sure, Nick. Okay, great. Whatever you say. But Thomas, do you know what it's time for?
I'm hoping wildlife shots now.
Wildlife.
Yes! Play it again!
Wildlife.
Yes!
Wildlife.
This is the best thing that we have ever done! Play it again!
Really
Play it again!
You want to hear it one more time?
Yes! Another one!
Wildlife. 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 So,
this is the whole podcast now. I'm sorry, guys. I know that we had this as like a fun segment intro bumper, but the whole podcast is just going to be an hour of playing that over and over again.
So on my other podcast, which is called the Crash Test Podcast, check it out on iTunes.
Yeah, our good friend Patrick Goldhouse is going to be on this week.
Yes, we've been discussing like new segment ideas and what we can do on the show, and I was like, people would be like, oh, what if we read our Twitters? I was like, okay, decent idea, but what if instead we each pick one tweet from the previous week of ours, and then we put them in competition, and I'll vote on which one is the best. And one of my co-hosts was like, it seems a little navel-gazy. That's the whole point of podcasts. Do you want to hear again how navel-gazy this podcast is?
Yes!
Wildlife. Wildlife.
I think my favorite thing about this is just that it was a joke I had fun making, and I was like, oh, that would be funny, and it's so much funnier than I thought it would be.
Do you know how much fun I had editing that together?
Oh, so much.
Oh, it was great.
I'm hoping that we can just gradually accrue more, like, great such bummers, but, like, this is my favorite segment of the show, and this has cemented it. I was excited to talk about wildlife from the shots we had, because we had some good ones, but, like, I don't know, man. I gotta take a second to center myself. I'm just, like,
You are elated right now.
Yes.
I love it. So the wildlife shots, we got some fishes. We got a squirrel, which I didn't know existed in Southeast Asia.
I think it's a bit reductive to say we got some fishes. We got, like, a really cool underwater shot of, like, this big school of fish, and then, like a reef. It was really neat.
Okay. Yes, it was cool. All of the wildlife shots are always cool.
This one was a notably cool one, Jake. Let me have this.
Okay, yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. There was a squirrel.
I would say that they really hit us with their best wildlife shot this week.
Wildlife. Wildlife. My dad's gonna listen to this podcast and be like, "This is a really dumb show. Why are you doing this?" And I'm like, "No, but you have to understand. There's 18 seconds of this really funny thing."
Be like, too bad, yeah.
Be like, listen, I understand where you're coming from, but I don't feel like you're hitting me with your best wildlife shot. and then I'll play it for him. So there were the super cool fishes, there was a squirrel, there were some birds, and then some more birds, a crab, some monkeys, and a water buffalo.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
Pretty great.
I
think this was the best week of wildlife shots since I've started watching the show.
Quality over quantity.
They had both, though.
They did. They had a good amount. I think last week they had more, though, which...
Well, to make up for the week before that having none. Those assholes.
Rude. So I looked up water buffalo to just see... I was like, was that a water... Like, I don't think I've ever actually seen a water buffalo on video or in person. Like, I've just seen pictures and, like, drawings of water buffalo. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess I know what this animal is. So I was like, was that a water buffalo? So I looked it up, and I found the map. It showed, like, a global map of where water buffalo are. And I zoomed in, and I was like, oh, okay, so that looks like Cambodia. I double-checked it with a Google Maps map. And I was like, okay, definitely Cambodia. But then I zoomed in further, see Koh Rong. Did you know that slightly north of the island of Koh Rong, in Cambodia, there's an island called Pineapple Island?
Ooh.
Which, like, if you're going to name an island something, Pineapple Island is a pretty good name.
As long as they're not making pizza on that island, like, that sounds pretty cool. Also, Jake, I'm very proud that your Google sleuthing on wildlife shots has finally yielded some sort of explanation, because I know you've been trying to pin down those birds, but...
what kind of birds exist in Southeast Asia? I don't know.
No one knows.
Sparrows?
No one knows.
Is it sparrows? So rather than going to tribal council this week, Jeff shows up to the camp on a boat with a doctor. And they just want to check out everyone's infections. So they look at Ty's, the same infection that Ty lifted up his shorts at that one tribal council to show Jeff, and Jeff was like, hey, no homo.
It's cool, buddy.
So, that's cool. I got you. I get it. You got legs. Legs for days, Ty.
And knows how to use them.
Yeah. You, like one in front of the other. That's how you walk. They determined that they need to keep an eye on Scott's infection, but they're not too worried about it. Audrey will need some antibiotics, but nothing to worry about. Then Neil says that Mount St. Neil has broken, and it's okay now. And then they look at another infection on his back, but they determine it's not life-threatening. Then they look at an infection on his knee, and they are a little bit more worried about that one because it's very close to a joint. And if the infection spreads to his joint, he is in very bad shape. So they pull him from the game. Neil is no longer a contestant on this show. But luckily, what?
Oh, I was going to say, and also, because they have like a little talking head with Aubrey about this, Neil doesn't mention the idol that he has to Jeff, which he probably could have given to someone.
Yes, he could have.
And yeah, so it's gone. Nobody gets it.
Yep. No idol for him, or for anyone. We were talking a little bit about that before we started recording. I could see why he wouldn't give it to anyone. Like, I think because people didn't really know about the idol, of his anyway, trying to sneak it to Aubrey would have put a target on Aubrey's back.
Well, he could have just given it to Jeff, though. I think the producers would have been like, yeah, Jeff will give it to her.
No. That wouldn't have happened. You can't use Jeff as a... It's like in basketball, you can't, like, do a bounce pass off of the ref to another player on your team.
I think you actually can do that.
Intentionally?
I mean, refs usually are not in a position to have a ball bounced off of them, but I think you could. It's in the same way that, like, in like football, if a ref gets in the way, it's not like they stop play. That's just how it is.
Yeah, but no, I don't think that Jeff is allowed to influence the game in any way.
Maybe not. I don't know. He could have just, like, when he left, gone up to Aubrey and been like, hey, gonna hide the idol here.
Yeah. I think that would have been
like, I want to say goodbye, and like hug Aubrey and be like, hey, I hid the idol over here.
I hid the idol in your butt.
Don't tell nobody. I thought it was really weird that Neil squeezed Aubrey's butt before he left. I thought that was like a real creep.
They're pretty close. They're pretty close friends.
I liked him a lot, and then he was like a real creep.
Yeah. I mean, they got that kind of relationship. I'm not gonna fault him for it.
Well, yeah, all that aforementioned fucking that definitely occurs all the time on Survivor that we were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Who do you think's getting it on this season? There's one obvious answer.
What, Ty?
Ty and Scott, obviously.
I just feel bad. Feel bad though, because like they're cheating on people that they're significant others.
There's no rules on Survivor. What happens on Survivor stays on Survivor. You know?
I mean, no, but sure.
Well, maybe if you were on Survivor. So anyway, Neil is the first to remember. All right. And then the episode ends with Aubrey making an Oregon Trail metaphor.
Yeah, and it's great.
Yeah.
Aubrey on her Twitter also posted a reference to the best thing about Oregon Trail ever, which is shooting like 8,000 pounds of food and then being able to take back like 15 and just leaving a trail of dead animal carcasses like a dick.
Yeah, well, you know. Yeah,
her metaphor was basically like with the Oregon Trail, like when you set out, you have to, ford every river and caulk the wagons and, hope that you make it, but sometimes you get dysentery and you die. And that's just how it is.
I like that this episode of our show featured two of my favorite video games from when I was a kid.
Oh, we played the fuck out of Oregon Trail, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah. I like that it was supposedly an educational game. I don't know I haven't learned anything from Oregon Trail, except that dysentery is a disease.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, I learned that, like, dysentery and cholera are diseases. Fording the river is really fun, even though you die all the time. And, I don't know. The animations for animals dying in it are great.
Yeah. I loved the art style. Like, it was... Like,
whenever... the art style of, like, having pictures of people in it?
Yeah, it was great.
Cross-looking Native Americans who won't trade you the bullets that you want.
Yeah, rude. Do you want to get on to predictions?
Sure.
All right. I'm still in the Sydney camp.
I am too, especially with Neil gone.
Yeah. Who's got the next immunity necklace around their neck?
That is a good question. I'm going to say Scott.
Okay. Again, super obvious. I'm going to go a little less obvious and say Michelle.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think Michelle might pull it out. Next out, I'm thinking Aubrey.
I hate to say it. I really do. So none of us got points this week, right?
Nobody got points this week, unfortunately. So it's still 3-2.
Just because I don't want it to be Aubrey, I'm going to say Nick.
Okay. I can see it'll probably be one of them, but I'm still thinking Aubrey. Another prediction I have. Feel free to make any other predictions you want in the prediction segment, just for future reference. I think Sydney and Jason and whoever else realized that Neil had an idol will go looking for the new one. Because they put a new one in anytime one is removed from the game.
I did not know that, but that makes sense.
I mean, also, they might not do that, but it would make sense that they do. So yeah, points me 3, you 2. Now on to my favorite segment called Other Notes. Hit me with your other notes. It's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm just going to isolate me going, notes, so that you can, if you really want to, you can edit it into the Beach House song Other People.
Okay, I'll think about it. I'll probably forget about it and won't do it. Anyway, You asked me what the big news that I had for this episode was.
You were teasing it on Twitter. I'd like to know.
I was teasing it on Twitter and also to you before.
I thought it was going to be. I just assumed that it was the "Hit Me with Your Best Wildlife Shot" song, but apparently.
No. The challenge Rivals 3 starts May 4th, and it looks great.
Oh man, Star Wars. Star Wars,
what?
right? May the 4th be with you.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
That?
You know what's funny? When I heard that was the date it was premiering, I made the exact same joke. And it was like, because May 4th? And then you said it, and I had no idea what you were talking about.
It's just like, I'm just like kind of a nerd, you know? Sometimes I just can't help myself.
I like Star Wars, and
it's kind of like a nerd holiday. Because it's just a thing only nerds understand. You know, Star Wars, like, it's for nerds only.
Only nerds understand lisps. Do you want me to play the preview for you?
No. You're gonna do it anyway. You're gonna do it anyway, aren't you?
I mean, no. If you don't want to hear it, I'm not gonna play it for you. But it's pretty good.
I just play it.
All right. Here, I'll flip the camera for you so you can see it.
She does not like me at all.
Everything he is, I hate. You're so annoying.
Welcome to your worst nightmare. You're going to be paired up with your rival of the
Camilla there. There's TJ. There's Tony. He's a big shithead.
I like that you're playing this and talking over it.
I am putting all of my faith in my enemy. Johnny! What the...
Oh man, Johnny Bananas.
I trusted you.
You know who I am. I'm not going to be able to get rid of my dickness.
It's like we're in a damn relationship.
That's other Johnny. That's Johnny Plantain.
Seriously? I can't believe I'm stuck with that douchebag. That's your partner.
Man, looks like a lot of drama.
It's a lot of drama. Classic challenge.
Why is that guy naked?
Is this real life?
Holy fuck, someone was on fire.
Show them why
Yeah.
the generation of the challenge. Viva Mexico! Bitch, you will die in this house. Do you hear me?
I warned you before. You're out of here. Here's stuff.
Pretty intense, right?
I'll take care.
There are going to be many
TJ cleaning
rivals.
house.
I'm excited. I'm really excited. It looks so much better than the last season.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
So that's happening. May the 4th be with you. I think Survivor is going to end like that week or maybe the next one. So we'll see what happens. Here, speaking of the challenge, do you want to hear my idea for a challenge? The challenge?
Sure.
All right. So here's my idea. You know how every season they'll, because you've watched so many seasons, every season they're like, hey, welcome to the challenge. This is this year's theme, and these are your partners. And they just tell them. I think a better challenge would be like, say there are 14 pairs usually, have like 15 pairs there, and then the first challenge, they all line up against a wall, and then on the other side of the wall is their partner. And then they have to reveal their partner through, like, removing blocks or, like, licking something off of a window. And the last one to do it is sent into the elimination.
Yes, that classic challenge that you'll see on the challenge, licking things off of windows.
You say that like that's not a thing they do.
We put a bunch of vomit on this window, and we need you to lick it off.
Yep. That's a real thing. So, as long as we're talking about the challenge, remember to use that hashtag Bananas on Survivor, so we can get Johnny Bananas on Survivor and get him off of this show he should have stopped doing 5 years ago.
Yes, he needs to move on with his life. We need to help him move forward.
Somebody in the I mentioned to you that challenge group on Facebook that I'm a part of.
Yes.
They changed the name to Real World Go Big or Go Home. That's what it's all about now. But somebody posted a picture of them like running into bananas at some club or something. And then somebody else was also like, oh, I just ran into bananas too. So I mentioned, I was like, hey, next time someone meets Johnny Bananas, could you tell him to go out for Survivor? And as of this recording, it's gotten 13 likes. Somebody named Monica Sellers said...
That's almost a famous tennis player.
Monica Sellers, whose profile picture is picture of clouds, and then some of the clouds make out the word blessed, so that's cool. She said that would be a good watch. Somebody named Cassidy Page Rappaport said, I have been saying this forever. Oh, really? Have you, Cassidy?
Not longer than us, Cassidy.
Yeah.
Don't try and fucking bite our style, okay?
Yeah, get out of here, Cassidy Rappaport.
Hashtag Cassidy back the fuck off. That's our new hashtag.
Yeah.
new nemesis of the show, Cassidy.
Fuck you, Cassidy. Come on the show.
No, don't. Never.
Never come on the show.
I'm officially banning Cassidy from this show.
Cassidy Page Rappaport is the new Dirty Jobs guy. Fuck, I forgot his name.
Mike Rowe.
Mike Rowe.
We have
Cassidy
2 people
Page Rappaport
that we have permanently banned from this show. It's Cassidy Page Rappaport
for completely
and Mike Rowe.
unfounded reasons.
Fuck them. They know what they did.
They know what they did. But don't get too excited about kicking off Cassidy Page Rappaport, because you're going to want to kick off Shelley Rafter Hannah, too. She said, no, don't ruin Survivor, please. Shelley?
You're out!
You're out! You're not in this show anymore!
You never get to... We will never mention you again.
Never. Unless I mention something else.
Unless we talk about the people that we've blackballed from this show.
Yeah. Get out of here. We're making a list. I'm going to save on this Word document a list of people who are not allowed on this show.
Don't even have it be a Word document. Have it be a WordPad document. It's even less. That's all they deserve. They don't even deserve to have it features.
Here's why I'm putting it in a Word document. Because it's very important, and I'm not going to open WordPad. I'll open Word, though. Just so I can know. Because I don't want to forget that they've been kicked off, you know?
Plus, if you need to put some clip art in there, you know?
Yeah.
Like a clip art of a clown, because that's what those people are.
Clowns. Micro especially.
Yeah, look, fuck you, Mike.
Clowning is a dirty job, but someone's got to do it. Fucking Micro.
Also, it's like a dance, right?
Clowning?
Yeah, isn't that like an offshoot of, like, crumping?
Sure. I'm not going to say it's not.
Maybe it's not an offshoot. It might just be something that popped up around the same time frame.
Hey, Thomas, I want to double our amount of listeners, so here's what I'm hoping for. I want everybody... Hey, you, listening to this show, tell one friend to listen to this show. One and only friend.
Also, if you listen to the show, I know every podcast says this, but we're the most important one.
Yes.
Leave a review of our show. 5 stars only. If you want to give us anywhere from 1 to 4 stars, don't leave a review.
Yeah.
But leave us a 5-star review, and it'll make us feel good.
If you are determined to leave us between a 1 and 4 star review, please do 4 stars. If you absolutely have to, but we would definitely prefer 5-star reviews. Second, no reviews.
We just appreciate
reviews.
any feedback except for negative feedback. But
yeah, we can't handle negative feedback.
Yeah, we just want it. If somebody is looking to subscribe to the podcast and they haven't, they don't know anything about it, we want them to see like some glowing 5-star reviews and be like, "Oh, Steve, these people liked it. Obviously, I will."
Yeah, like right now, our related podcasts are like NPR pop culture podcasts, which is fine. Listen to those too. I'm sure they're great. They're not this podcast.
We're like way funnier, I bet.
We're probably way funnier. Remember
definitely
that thing
a lot louder.
Yeah, we're very loud about fucking calling out Mike Rowe for his bullshit.
Loud equals funny. Dane Cook, Carlos Mencia.
Mm-hmm.
Others, I'm sure.
Their collaborative album is really good. Our show is on Twitter. It's DYWSLN. I'm on Twitter. My name's Jake Scheidel. Thomas, are you on Twitter?
Yes. Tom, not Tom.
Okay. We're also on Facebook. Did you watch Survivor last night, I should say. We have an email, though, which, you guys, hey, this email, it exists, and
we're checking it now.
Emails.
I'm actually getting Jake to check it now, so it would be really nice if you would email.
A few episodes ago, I said, I will write in the top of this Word document, check the email in big, bold letters, and every time before opening the Word document, I have forgotten, but then I've seen that note and had to check the email.
See?
It doesn't make a difference, though, because none of you are emailing us.
Come on.
I'm sorry to yell at you. Leave us a review, check us out on iTunes and emails, and tell your friends about the show. Did you watch last night at gmail.com? And be sure to sign your lovely email, your pal Jeff Probst, I think that does it for today's show. So as always, have a great summer.
Deuces.
My life is brilliant. My love is pure. I saw an angel. Of that I'm sure. She smiled at me on the subway. She was with another man. But I won't lose no sleep on that, 'cause I've got a plan. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. It's true. I saw your face in a crowded place, and I don't know what to do, 'cause I'll never be with you. Yes,